They say Chrisean finna be on the run because somebody was able to send pictures to the police department of Chrisean's junior genital parts, and they said he was bleeding from his diaper. She allegedly has not been taking him to his hernia surgeries, so they're not up to date as well. He also has severe diaper rashes, and
I want to put up $5,000 that Blueface and Christian Rock have a baby. Let's start making bets now. Come on now, I got $5,000 that Christian Rock and Blueface have a baby. Baby gonna be dumb. They not gonna have a healthy baby. I got bets on right now.
I just said so many times, hey, okay, hey, fine. You see how I just try to, did you see how I just try to convince myself?
What if everything you thought you knew wasn't even close to the full story? Because right now, the internet is going into full meltdown mode after Jason Lee reportedly dropped what many are calling the most disturbing update yet about Chrisean Rock and her son, Chrisean Jr. Now hold on. Before we go any further, let's be clear, these are claims and conversations circulating online, and not everything has been officially confirmed. But still, the questions people are asking right now? Yeah, they are not small questions. Why are people suddenly revisiting old clips, zooming in, analyzing every detail? Why are sources close to the situation allegedly speaking out now? And what exactly did Jason Lee see or hear that made him react the way he did? Because according to online discussions, what's being hinted at behind the scenes is way deeper than just internet drama. We're talking about concerns, confusion, and a situation that has people saying, something isn't adding up. So is this just another viral moment blown out of proportion, or is there actually more going on that nobody fully understands yet? Yeah, this one gets uncomfortable real fast. Flushed face fire. So let's slow this down for a second, because what's happening right now isn't just another trending topic. It's turning into one of those stories that people can't stop watching, even if they're not sure what's actually real and what's just internet speculation. At the center of all this, you've got Chrisean Rock, a name that, let's be honest, has never stayed out of controversy for too long. And right next to her, whether people like it or not, is Blueface, another figure whose history online has been, let's just say, complicated. Now when you combine two people who already have a reputation for chaotic headlines, emotional live streams, and unpredictable moments, it doesn't take much for the internet to go into detective mode. And that's exactly what's happening again. But this time, it feels different. Because now, somehow, the conversation has shifted away from just relationship drama and into something way more sensitive. And that's where Jason Lee enters the picture. Now if you've been online long enough, you already know Jason Lee doesn't usually jump into a situation unless there's something worth talking about. He's built his whole brand around speaking on trending topics, celebrity situations, and the kind of behind-the-scenes chatter that most people only hear about through whispers. But this time, according to discussions online, his reaction wasn't just commentary, it was concern. And that's what really got people paying attention. Because when someone like Jason, who's seen just about everything in the entertainment world, starts reacting in a way that feels serious, people notice. So naturally, what did the internet do? They went back. Way back.
Medical records leaking and everybody seeing and hearing about what's on them does not cancel her. I don't know what else at this point will. Like, somebody needs to get that little boy out of her care and get him out of her care quick. I tried to give Chrisean the benefit of the doubt because, you know, you're not always the best parent. Not everybody is the best parent, but they might be the best parent for that child. No, she's not the best parent at all. Like, seeing what's on these medical records is making me sick. Like, mind y'all, he didn't ask to be here. She did not have to happen. And also, if y'all not gonna know about HIPAA, don't talk about HIPAA. HIPAA pertains to the people that signed the HIPAA paper, the HIPAA forms, you know, agreeing not to violate that, which therefore goes for the medical records, the hospital workers, the doctors, you know, things like that, not friends and family. They didn't sign or agree to no HIPAA lawsuit maybe, but nobody's violating HIPAA talking about this. Mind y'all, there's a whole list of things, but I'm just going to point out the major ones. The first one being, like we all assumed, he does suffer from fetal alcohol syndrome. He does suffer from neonatal abstinence syndrome, which basically is withdrawal. And from the records, they're saying that it was cocaine. does also suffer from spasticity, which would explain why he's almost 2 and cannot walk or barely move. If y'all notice, Chrisean always has him either in a stroller or carrying him. It's basically a neurological condition that causes abnormal muscle stiffness or tightness and makes moving pretty hard. But mind y'all, he's a baby. Yeah, times 10. He also suffers from seizure disorder. Another big one was CVI, which is cortical visual impairment. And that is basically when a portion of the brain has been damaged, therefore leading to it's basically going to affect how he interprets visual stimulus, like problems with processing, problems with, paying attention, problems with recognition. And based off how we've seen Junior, these all are making sense. The big kicker here is that with all of the things listed, he's supposed to be in palliative care. For y'all that don't know, that is basically care that is supposed to help prolong his life and make it a more stable, durable life. Without that, things are not going to go well. So when people are telling Chrisean that she needs to get her son the help that he needs, there's literally help that he needs. As a mom, just as a human, but as a mom, it's sad, it's sickening. The internet was able to tell you that you needed to get your son help before you could admit that he needed help. I don't see how people are not seeing the deeper problem when it comes to this. I don't see why or how she still has her son. So sad, because that little boy did not ask to be here. And from before she even had Junior, people have been pointing out certain behaviors and certain things that Chrisean is doing or has done that they knew was going to affect the baby, yet she still has the baby and she's getting worse and worse. I don't feel bad for her one bit. I'm glad that people are talking about it. I'm glad that people are speaking up about it, because I think that all of the rumors and all the ruckus and seeing how she does her son, how bad of a job she does being a mother, is what got the medical records to be leaked. To let Chrisean tell her son is perfectly fine and we just need to mind our business. The whole time, he needs to be in a very certain strict type of care. It makes me so mad, and that's not even my child, because he did not ask to be here and she did not have to have him. At this point, he might have been better off not here, and I'm so sad to say, but look at the life he has to live because of somebody being so careless and selfish. And the fact that everybody just stands around and no friends, no family, nobody's going to say anything or do anything, step in, it's just wild to me. She wonders why people get on the internet and bash her so badly. Girl, we're not even bashing you for you, we're bashing you because of how you do.
People started pulling up old clips, past interviews, live stream moments, anything they could find. Every frame, every expression, every small detail suddenly became something to analyze. And here's where things get interesting. Because in today's world, it doesn't take an official report for something to go viral. All it takes is a few clips, a few comments, and suddenly you've got thousands of people forming theories. Some viewers are saying that certain moments, things that maybe didn't seem important before, now look completely different when viewed through this new lens. Others are pointing out patterns, repeated behaviors, situations that, according to online conversations, didn't sit right even back then. But again, and this is important, these are interpretations. These are people connecting dots based on what they think they are seeing. Still, the fact that so many people are suddenly asking the same questions at the same time, that's what's making this story explode. Now let's talk about reputation for a second. Because whether fair or not, public perception plays a huge role in how stories like this unfold. And when it comes to Chrisean, her journey has always been intense. From viral moments to emotional breakdowns to public disagreements, her life has played out in front of millions. And while that kind of exposure can build a fan base, it also means every mistake, every controversy, gets amplified. And that creates a situation where, when something new comes up, people don't just look at that one moment, they look at the entire history. They start connecting everything. They start asking, is this part of a bigger pattern? Now again, we're not here to confirm anything. We're not here to accuse anyone of anything. But what we are doing is breaking down why this situation has caught so much attention. Because attention like this doesn't just appear out of nowhere. There's always a trigger. And according to online discussions, that trigger may have been a combination of recent comments, resurfaced footage, and what some are calling unexpected reactions from people close to the situation. And here's the part that really adds fuel to the fire. Some viewers claim that when Chrisean appeared in certain recent clips, her responses didn't fully match the concerns being raised. Others say they noticed moments where things seemed off. Not necessarily wrong. Not necessarily confirmed. Just enough to make people pause. And once people pause, they start digging. And once they start digging, yeah, you already know how that goes. Now suddenly, timelines are being created. People are comparing older footage with newer footage. They are analyzing tone, body language, even background details. It's like the entire internet turned into one giant investigation board. And sitting right in the middle of that board is one big question. What's really going on here? But here's where things get tricky. Because in situations like this, there's always a line. A line between concern and speculation. A line between discussion and assumption. And not everyone online respects that line. Some people genuinely seem worried. They are asking questions, hoping for clarity, wanting to understand. Others? They are just here for the chaos. They are here for the viral moment, the shock factor, the next headline. And that mix? That's what turns a situation into a full-blown internet storm. Now let's circle back to Jason Lee for a second, because his name keeps coming up in all of this. According to conversations circulating online, his reaction, whether it was something he said, something he implied, or just the way he responded, made people feel like there might be more to the story than what's publicly visible. Not confirmed facts, not official statements, but enough to spark curiosity. And in today's world, curiosity spreads fast. Faster than facts sometimes. And that's exactly why this story has reached the level it has. Because it's not just about what's been said. It's about what people think might be hidden. It's about the possibility that there's something deeper going on behind the scenes. And whether that's true or not, well, that's the part nobody can fully agree on yet. But one thing is clear. This isn't just another random viral topic. This is one of those situations where the internet feels like it's watching something unfold in real time. And when that happens, people don't look away. They lean in. They analyze more. They question more. And they wait. Wait to see what comes next. Because if there's one thing we've learned from stories like this, it's that what starts as a few clips and a few comments can quickly turn into something much bigger. And right now, it feels like we're only at the beginning. Because once you start digging into what people are saying, once you start looking at the so-called leaks, the sources, and the reactions, that's when the story takes a whole different turn. That's when the story takes a whole different turn. Because once the internet shifts from "this is interesting" to "wait, what is this?" that's when things escalate fast. And right now, according to ongoing online discussions, that escalation is being driven by three things: alleged leaks, so-called insider whispers, and the public's reaction to both. Let's start with the so-called leaks. Now, before anything, none of this is officially confirmed. These are claims, conversations, and circulating reports that people online are reacting to. But still, the volume of it all? That's what's making people pause. Some users claim that certain information began surfacing shortly after recent appearances and interviews. Not full documents, not verified reports, but snippets, screenshots, descriptions of what people say they've seen. And once those started spreading, yeah, the internet did what it always does. People began connecting dots that may or may not even be related. Some are saying that these alleged details paint a much more serious picture than what's been publicly shown. Others argue it's all being exaggerated, that people are taking fragments and turning them into full narratives. But here's the thing. Even if something is unconfirmed, if enough people start talking about it, it becomes a conversation. And conversations like this don't stay small. Now, one of the biggest talking points right now revolves around what people are calling missed moments. Moments where, according to online viewers, things might not have been handled the way they expected. Again, these are interpretations, but they are being repeated, over and over. Some users are pointing to clips where they feel like concerns were brushed off too quickly. Others say they notice patterns, repeated situations that, in hindsight, are now being looked at differently. And then you've got a whole other group of people who are saying, hold on, y'all are reaching. Because not everyone is buying into this narrative. There's a clear divide happening. On one side, you've got people who are genuinely worried. They are analyzing everything, trying to piece together what they believe could be a bigger issue. On the other side, you've got people defending Chrisean, saying that the internet is doing what it always does, taking a situation and blowing it way out of proportion. And honestly, that split reaction is what's keeping this story alive. Because when everyone agrees, a story dies. But when people argue, that's when it spreads. Now let's talk about the sources. Because anytime you hear phrases like "according to someone close to the situation," you already know things are about to get messy. Some online accounts claim that individuals who have been around the situation, not publicly named, not verified, have allegedly shared concerns behind the scenes. Concerns about consistency. Concerns about priorities. Concerns about things that, if true, would definitely raise eyebrows. But again, we have to be clear. These are not confirmed statements. These are what people are saying someone else said. And yet, even that is enough to spark debate. Because in the age of social media, perception moves faster than proof. Now here's where things take an even more dramatic turn. Public reaction. And when we say public reaction, we're not just talking about random comments. We're talking about thousands of people across platforms, reacting, debating, questioning. Some comments are emotional. People expressing concern, saying things like, if even a part of this is true, that's serious. Others are skeptical, calling it a manufactured narrative, saying the internet is creating a storyline out of thin air. And then you've got the third category, the ones who are just watching it unfold like it's a live show. Because let's be real, for a lot of viewers, this isn't just information. It's content. It's something to react to share, to debate. And that's where things get complicated. Because when a situation becomes content, the line between reality and entertainment starts to blur. Now, back to Jason Lee. Because his name keeps coming up for a reason. According to online discussions, his involvement, whether direct or indirect, added a layer of credibility for some viewers. Not confirmation, but attention. Because people are saying, if he's reacting like this, maybe there's more we're not seeing. And that thought alone? That's enough to keep people hooked. Now, let's address something important. Timing. Because timing in stories like this is everything. And according to what people are saying, the timing of these discussions, the resurfacing of clips, the sudden spike in attention, it all feels connected. Some users believe it's just coincidence. Others think it's intentional. That maybe certain things are being brought up now for a reason. But again, that's speculation. And speculation is exactly what fuels stories like this. Now here's where it gets even more intense. Some viewers have started revisiting older moments, not just recent clips. They are going back months, even years, looking for anything that might support the current narrative. And when you do that, you can always find something. Because hindsight has a way of changing how things look. A moment that once seemed normal can suddenly feel suspicious when viewed through a different lens. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Now suddenly, everything is being re-examined. Every decision, every reaction, every public moment. And while some people say that's necessary, others say it's dangerous. Because not every moment needs to be turned into a theory. But the internet doesn't always care about that. If there's even a possibility of a bigger story, people will chase it. Now let's talk about the emotional side of this. Because beyond the theories, beyond the debates, there's a very real emotional reaction happening. Some people feel uncomfortable. They are saying this situation feels heavier than usual. That it's not just drama, it's something that makes you pause. Others feel frustrated. They are questioning why the internet is so quick to jump to conclusions without solid proof. And then you've got people who are just confused, trying to figure out what's real, what's exaggerated, and what's completely made up. And honestly, that confusion might be the most honest reaction of all. Because right now, there are more questions than answers. And when that happens, stories don't settle. They grow. They evolve. They take on new angles, new theories, new discussions. And right now, it feels like this story is still evolving. Because just when people think they figured it out, something new gets added to the conversation. A new clip, a new comment, a new reaction. And suddenly, the narrative shifts again. Which brings us to the biggest question of all. Where does this go from here? Because if this was just a quick viral moment, it would have died down already. But it hasn't. If anything, it's getting louder. More people are talking about it. More content is being created around it. More theories are being shared. And that only happens when a story has momentum. And right now, this story has a lot of it. But momentum can be dangerous. Because the faster something spreads, the harder it becomes to control the narrative. And when the narrative gets out of control, that's when real consequences start to come into the picture. Because once a situation reaches this level of attention, it doesn't just stay online. It starts crossing into real-world impact. And right now, that's exactly what people are watching closely. Not confirmed actions. Not official investigations. But possibilities. And sometimes, possibilities are enough to make everything feel heavier. Because according to ongoing conversations online, people are now asking a different type of question. Not what happened, but what happens next. And that shift, that's where things get serious. Now, let's talk about pressure. Because whether someone chooses to respond or not, public pressure has a way of building over time. And in situations like this, where emotions are already high and opinions are split, that pressure multiplies fast. Some viewers are saying that if concerns continue to grow, there could be increased attention from people outside of social media. Not guaranteed, not confirmed, just something people are discussing. Others believe that everything will eventually calm down, that this is just another wave of internet speculation that will fade once the next trending topic takes over. But here's the problem. This situation doesn't feel like a quick trend to a lot of people. It feels ongoing. And when something feels ongoing, people don't just move on. They watch more closely. They analyze more deeply. They start expecting responses. Now, speaking of responses, one of the biggest things people are waiting for right now is clarity. Not rumors, not reactions, actual clarity. But clarity isn't always easy to provide, especially when a situation is already filled with so many different narratives. Because no matter what is said, there will always be people who believe it, and people who don't. And that's where things get complicated. Because now, it's not just about facts. It's about trust. And once trust becomes part of the conversation, everything changes. Now let's consider something else, reputation. Because like we mentioned earlier, reputation plays a huge role in how situations unfold publicly. And when someone already has a history of being involved in controversial moments, fairly or unfairly, it can shape how people interpret new situations. Some viewers are saying that past moments are now being used as evidence to support current concerns. Others argue that that's not fair, that people shouldn't be judged based on previous controversies when discussing a completely different situation. And honestly, both sides have a point. Because while patterns can matter, so can context. But the internet doesn't always balance those things equally. Now here's where things get even more intense. Some users are starting to talk about potential outcomes. Not confirmed outcomes. Not official actions. Just possibilities. Could there be more scrutiny moving forward? Could there be more attention from organizations or authorities if concerns continue to grow? Could there be shifts in how people publicly support or engage with those involved? Again, these are questions, not conclusions. But the fact that people are asking them, that's what makes this situation different. Because it shows that the conversation has moved beyond simple curiosity. It's now about consequences. Now let's talk about public image. Because in today's world, public image can change overnight. One moment, everything seems normal. The next moment, one viral narrative can completely shift how someone is perceived. And right now, according to online discussions, there's a noticeable shift happening. Some people who were once fully supportive are now questioning things. Others are doubling down on their support, pushing back against what they see as unfair criticism. And that divide, it's growing, which only adds more tension to the situation. Because when an audience splits like that, it creates an ongoing cycle of debate. Supporters versus skeptics. Defenders versus critics. And that cycle keeps the story alive. Now let's bring it back to the bigger picture. Because while this situation feels specific, it's also part of a larger pattern we've seen before. A public figure. A controversial moment. Online discussions turning into full-blown investigations. And then, the wait. The wait to see what's real, what's clarified, and what fades away. But not every story follows the same path. Some disappear quickly. Others evolve. And right now, it feels like this one is still evolving. Because even as we speak, new reactions are coming in. New clips are being shared. New opinions are forming. And that means the story isn't done yet. Now here's something important to remember. In situations like this, there's always a risk of things going too far. Of people making assumptions. Of narratives becoming stronger than facts. And that's why it's important to stay grounded. To understand the difference between what's confirmed and what's being discussed. But at the same time, ignoring the conversation completely isn't realistic either. Because when enough people are talking about something, it becomes part of the public space. And that's exactly where we are right now. Right in the middle of a conversation that hasn't reached its conclusion yet. Now let's talk about impact. Because regardless of what's true, what's exaggerated, or what's misunderstood, situations like this always have an impact. On perception. On reputation. On how people engage moving forward. And sometimes, even on the individuals involved. Which is why so many viewers are watching closely. Not just for drama, but for resolution. Because people want to know how this ends. Does clarity come out? Do concerns get addressed? Does the conversation shift? Or does it continue to grow? And right now, nobody knows. That uncertainty? That's what keeps people hooked. Because as long as there are unanswered questions, the story stays alive. And this story? It has a lot of unanswered questions. Now here's the final thing to think about. In a world where information spreads instantly, and narratives can form within minutes, how do you separate what's real from what's just noise? How do you know when concern is genuine, and when it's just part of the internet cycle? And most importantly, how do you decide what to believe? Because at the end of the day, everyone watching this is going to come to their own conclusion. Some will believe there's more going on. Others will think it's all being blown out of proportion. And some will stay right in the middle, waiting for more information. But one thing is clear. This situation has people paying attention. And when people are paying attention like this, something usually follows. Whether it's clarity, whether it's closure, or whether it's another twist that nobody saw coming. And if there's one thing we've learned from stories like this, it's that the next twist, it's usually the one that changes everything. Fire. So now the question is, what do you actually think is going on here? Because at this point, it's clear this isn't just another random viral moment. This is one of those situations where the internet is split right down the middle, and nobody seems to fully agree on what's real and what's being blown out of proportion. Some people believe there's something deeper happening behind the scenes, something that hasn't been fully explained yet. Others are saying this is exactly how social media works. A few clips, a few reactions, and suddenly a full narrative gets built without the full picture. But here's the thing. The more people talk about it, the bigger it gets. The more it gets analyzed, the more questions come up. And right now, those questions aren't going anywhere. So I want to hear from you. Do you think this situation is being misunderstood? Or do you feel like there's actually more going on that hasn't been fully revealed yet? Do you think the internet is helping uncover the truth, or just creating more confusion? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because honestly, this is one of those conversations where every perspective adds something new. And if you made it this far, you already know. We're going to keep breaking down stories like this, the ones people are talking about, questioning, and trying to figure out in real time. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because if anything new drops on this situation, yeah, you already know we're covering it. Flushed face fire.